According to a 2009 poll conducted by Angus Reid, 53% of Canadians agree with the statement, the use of marijuana should be legalized. Despite numerous cases of provincial courts reflecting a similar opinion based on security of the person, all legislation ends up struck down at the supreme level. Cannabis is currently illegal in the Criminal Code of Canada under the Controlled Drugs and Substance Act, though since the year 2000 case R.V. Parker, pot has been legalized for medicinal purposes. Canada and the Netherlands are not the only countries to embrace decriminalization. Argentina, Peru, Uruguay, and Romania are but a few of the other examples. According to a World Drug Use study by the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, 16.8% of Canadians aged 15 to 64 used cannabis products in 2004, which is significant since marijuana is still technically illegal. Pot use in Canada is the highest of any industrialized nation, and more than 4 times the global rate. But why is it so popular? Pot has long been used as a medicine, the earliest documented case being in 2800 BC, China, where it was used to deal with constipation, gout, malaria, and rheumatism. The drug is also known for its ability to alleviate pain, nausea, and muscle spasms, prevent seizures, boost appetite, and aid sleep. While a joint contains more tar than a cigarette, oftentimes smaller amounts of cannabis are needed than smoking tobacco, making it ultimately less harmful. Marijuana is not physically addictive, but can be habit-forming. The habit mainly harms the lungs from smoking, however this can be avoided with the use of a vaporizer or through oral ingestion. While the pharmaceutical industry has provided alternatives to marijuana, such as synthetic THC and sprays, acquiring approval for these products is fairly difficult, and AIDS and MS patients complain that the real deal is more effective for treating their symptoms anyway. Most people should ensure that they are physically stable before exploring altered states of consciousness, much as they should with alcohol. When using the drug, repressed fears can oftentimes manifest themselves into paranoia. It is no coincidence that there are specific receptor molecules located on the surface of neurons in the brain for the chemical THC, the active ingredient in marijuana. They are triggered by molecules called endocannabinoids, which are found naturally in the body and prevent neurons from becoming overactive. While one might think this may hamper a person's cognitive abilities since neurons are responsible for learning and thinking, marijuana only temporarily reduces these functions, and consequently, in the long term, it actually stimulates the production of the growth factors that promote neuron retention. You see, the brain must be challenged to retain neurons, otherwise they die within approximately 2 days of their creation. Marijuana provides this challenging environment and thus aids in the neuron's survival. Cannabinoids have also been found to block excistotoxicity, a common cause of neuron damage, resulting from mental diseases like epilepsy and multiple sclerosis. Many commend marijuana with spiritual benefits. While users seem removed from the physical world, one should note that this is the aim of spiritual practice. Marijuana use can profoundly increase a person's chances of having an out-of-body experience. Pot also increases alpha brainwaves, much like meditation, and in terms of aura, many testify that it can create a lovely green color and open the heart chakra. While marijuana use increases heart rates, it does not block the capillaries as smoking cigarettes does, and thus increases the amount of clean blood sent to the brain, which in turn translates into clear thinking. Numerous religions believe in the inherent goodness of marijuana, such as Rastafarians and Reverend Brother Peter Starsky's church, the Beaches Mission of God. Starsky was charged with trafficking marijuana and hashish after police raided his church in 2007. He fought back by citing his freedom of religion, but unfortunately the court was not ready to recognize this in law yet. Contrary to popular belief, decriminalization of marijuana does not encourage use, since Canadians use marijuana at a rate double that of the Netherlands. In fact, the Netherlands boasts one of the smallest percentages of adult cannabis use in Europe, 5.4% according to the European Monitoring Center for Drugs and Drug Addiction. This is compared to the European average of 6.8%. Through its coffee shops, the state is able to restrict the sale of marijuana to adults over 18 years of age and ensure the quality and safety of the product, which can be exposed to impurities when handled by unlicensed drug dealers. The regulations also prevent cafes from opening near schools and limit sales to 5 grams per customer. By making small amounts of marijuana acceptable, casual users do not ruin their lives over petty convictions. Legalization encourages rehabilitation by improving relationships between government and drug user, making them less reluctant to accept help. The police can then direct their limited resources to more urgent needs, such as convicting aggressive murder and rape offenders. Many believe that California's enactment of medical marijuana policy was only meant to assist with their substantial budget deficit. A marijuana tax may be the only tax one might be actually willing to pay. If stoners paid their taxes, perhaps no longer would society stereotype them as lazy and idle, since they would become contributive members of society. 2004 estimates valued Canadian cannabis trade at $7 billion, twice as much as pig farming and 3 times as much as wheat, making marijuana Canada's #1 cash crop. Perhaps this is why the government turns a blind eye to the various smoking cafes, such as those in Toronto, which it continues to collect taxes from, despite the clear conflict of interest. The war on drugs squanders resources. A 2007 study by John Getman reveals that the United States marijuana prohibition cost taxpayers $41.8 billion in enforcement costs and lost tax revenues. This is money that could be diverted to social programs, building schools, hospitals, and other public amenities. The fact is, most of our beliefs about marijuana come from social conditioning and our observations of abusers, who are not the best spokespersons for the herb. So won't you give it a second chance?